Life can be very complicated. Problems can crowd in from all sides and finding solutions can seem overwhelming. Therefore, it's very natural to want to simplify life. Here, this is part 2 of a 4-part series on how you can successfully do that. And what I'm going to be sharing here is by far the best way I've found of doing that. And we're going to unlock simplicity by understanding how the human mind works. So it applies to anybody who's got a human mind. And that might sound complicated in itself, but actually let me reassure you, it's simpler than that. And what we're going to do is, from that understanding, then look at the practical impact that it has and how, in this case, specifically it applies to solving problems more easily and more simply. When it comes to understanding the human mind, it's worth recapping that each of us have this flow of thought that comes through our mind, and left to its own devices, a thought will stay around for a little while and then be replaced by fresh thinking. And when it comes to solving problems, we're going to find it much easier and simpler to work in harmony with that fact than working against it. Now, unfortunately, we've all grown up with the myth that to solve a problem, we have to think a lot about it. And the bigger the problem, the more thinking we need to do. And that actually gets in our way, and in fact it can make us stuck. If you've ever had the experience of wrestling with a problem, thinking a lot about it, and finding the same thoughts going round and round your head, what's happening is you've innocently got stuck in a pool of thoughts that you can't sort of get out of because you block the flow. Obviously you don't do this deliberately, neither do I, but it does happen sometimes. And it's interesting to notice that, and I'm sure you've had experiences like this, that if sometimes for whatever reason you break away from that for a while and do something completely different, you often get inspired by a fresh idea that brings you the solution, something that seems to arrive out of the blue. In fact, this has happened to so many people when they're having a shower that it's arisen an idea that there's a magic in the shower, that somehow being drenched with water solves your problems. But actually it's not the water, it's the fact that in a shower, generally speaking, we stop thinking so much about the problems that we have, and in that mental space that results, because the flow is being restored, the natural flow of thinking has been allowed to happen again, if you like, the dam has been broken down, then we get fresh thinking. And it's the fresh thinking that provides the solution. Now, you may be wondering, how do we know that we've inadvertently dammed the flow of thought and that we've created a sort of situation where we're stuck with this problem? Well, the answer to that is in the feeling that we have, because we know that thoughts cause feelings. And therefore, if you have feelings of tension, pressure, stress and confusion, and feel that there's a heavy weight on your shoulders, then it's very likely that that's because you've dammed the flow of thought. And it's a signal, really, it's a very reliable barometer that tells you that what is most needed is for you to give your thinking less attention. Whatever's going on in your mind, just back off from it. Just reduce the amount of mental effort you're putting into that thinking. And that will create a sort of mental breathing space for new thinking to arise. And it's new thinking that brings you the solution. A solution effectively is new thinking. They're the same thing. Now, it's also true that some of the problems we experience in life, we have inadvertently created ourselves. What we've actually done is to make something up and then behave as if it's true. Or another way of saying it is that we've created a mental maze and then lost ourselves in it. And that has a particular feeling, a quality of feeling about it that's not very pleasant, which indicates that some mental space is what we need. And the beauty of this is that the mental space isn't something we've got to create. It's just by stopping all the attention we're giving our current thinking, we automatically get some mental space. So to get mental space isn't a question of what do you do, it's a question of what do you stop doing. And then in that mental space, the flow is restored, the flow of thinking is restored, and then solutions can arise. There's one other key point that's worth emphasizing here, and that is with this understanding of your mind, you'll find that actually there's a preventative element to problems as well. In other words, certain problems are less likely to arise again because you won't inadvertently be creating them. And that means that, again, there'll be less for you to do, less effort and time taken in solving problems because there'll be less of them. Now, just a reminder, if you would like to look at part 1 of this series, the link is in the description. And look out for parts 3 and 4, and I'll post those links in this description once those videos have been released. See you next time.